Hello again. I was reminded today about how great it is and how wonderful it is to know love. My daughter was fantastic. She was stubborn. She was her own person and did her things. She frustrated me, but she made me laugh. She was silly. She complained and looked at me sideways when I was trying to make her smile. She loved me, and I loved her back. It's been an emotional time for me. I've been crying a lot. Must be something in the air. Grief, that's what it is. Grief is in the air. Just looking back on pictures and remembering times, especially the videos. And seeing her before she was sick, when she was going through treatments, and near the end, she was all just so different, but yet still the same. Her knowledge of self grew so much, her knowledge of the world. When we were in the hospital, she always asked the doctors or nurses, what was happening, what medication was she getting. She wanted the names, what medication was she getting, how was it going to be administered, was it pill form, was it liquid, was it intravenous, is it going into her portacath. She also had a PICC line inserted in her arm. She wanted to know all the things. How long is it going to take how long is the IV drip going to run? What comes after that? Do I have to stay in the hospital? Are we staying in the hospital? How long are we staying in the hospital? She wanted to know all the things. She wanted to be a part of her treatment. She didn't want to be separate from it. And I always made sure that when she was awake, sometimes she was sleeping, she knew everything that was happening, and she was able to listen and ask questions if she wanted. It was very important for her to know. I think it was very comforting for her when she knew what was going on. She didn't like surprises. She wanted to know. All of it was so unknown. So it was so unknown and out of her control. So being able to just know those little things and being able to control, like even how her medication was given to her, pill form or liquid form, crushed or swallow the pill whole. I think those little things that she could control just gave her a little peace, because like I said, everything was completely out of her control. Her appetite changed, her taste buds changed. I was reminded, I read something about other parents in grief, and it reminded me that even the smell of certain foods that she used to love just turned her off. It was so difficult for her. All she really wanted was candy and San Pellegrino, the fruity one with the sugar. That's all she wanted. She couldn't just have that, but that's what she wanted, because I guess that was what she could tolerate. She did find things to eat, but it was so hard all the time. You know, she went from eating, I'm just gonna have this all the time, and then the next week it's like, I hate it. It tastes bad. You know, you don't realize all the things that come along with chemo. That the appetite loss, taste buds change, smells make you nauseous, your hair falls out, you lose weight, you get dark marks on your nails, toes turn black. You know, even some of the treatments, like she had to take a bath every day, even though she could barely get out of bed. She just had to sit and rinse off her skin because when the chemo came through her pores, it could irritate her skin. So every day she had to wash it off. It's all so much. The scans. How many scans can you have? All different ones. CT scans, MRI, she had MIBG scans. She just had all the things. I know I talked about chemo, but she also had radiation at one point, twice actually. She was almost at her limit of radiation. Yeah, there's a limit as to how much radiation you can receive, and she was almost at her limit because twice in her journey, she developed a tumor on her spine that took the use of her legs from her. So she did radiation to shrink that tumor twice. So twice she went from walking with a shake to not being able to walk at all to walking and running again. It's amazing, this kid. From a wheelchair to running. And she just did it. You know, we put so much thought into everything. And here's this kid just doing it. Just getting up and doing it. Whatever it was. You know, she had so little control, but she had all the control. You know, in the hospital, she had a teacher. A wonderful teacher. Used to get her to do some schoolwork. You know, she would come in and if she was awake, she would come in and she'll ask her, you know, she'd say, so, what do you want to do today? Do you want to do your schoolwork from school, or do you want to see what I have? So most of the time, she wanted to see what she had. And she told her, you know, when you're ready to stop, just let me know, but you have to let me know, and then you can stop. Because sometimes in the beginning, my daughter would just shut down, turn over, watch TV, do all the things. So she was like, you know, just when you're ready, when you're done, just let me know, and we can stop. So most of the time, she would get her to do at least one page, or at least one thing, sometimes more. You know, sometimes she would bring a craft for her to do, you know, a little art project or something. And it was just so much fun for my daughter to have that kind of control even, you know. I think the staff and the nurses, a lot of them recognized what kind of kid she was and who she was, you know, that she needed to know and that she needed some control. And they really worked with her that way. And it was really nice to see. It was really nice to see that people actually treated her like a person instead of a kid.